You know him as the Prince of Lust, the tempter whose name is whispered in the darkest corners of hell. But what if the most famous demon of carnality actually despises sex? What if his murders were fueled not by desire, but by jealousy? And what if this very demon actually helped King Solomon build his legendary temple? In this video, we'll unravel how an ancient spirit of wrath became the Prince of Lust, who the 7 ill-fated husbands he murdered on their wedding night were how King Solomon tricked him into building the temple, and what his true terrifying form and genuine powers really are. Get ready, because Asmodeus is so much more than just a demon of lust. Watch this video to the end, and you lines uncover the true story of one of the most powerful and misunderstood princes of Hell, one whose legacy continues to tempt us to this day. Imagine a demon whose name is whispered with dread in the darkest corners of the mind, a being whose very essence has become synonymous with one of humanity's most scorching sins. Yes, we are talking about Asmodeus, the Prince of Lust, the seducer, the destroyer of marriages. But what if this common association, this label, is merely a thin veil hiding a much older, more complex, and terrifying truth? What if the most famous demon of temptation was once a spirit of a completely different nature, one that only mutated over time into this iconic embodiment? Our journey begins not on fiery beds of sin or with whispers of seduction, but in the rugged, ancient lands of Persia. The name Asmodeus has its roots deep in Zoroastrian mythology, likely originating from the Avestan Ashmedai. And here, in this cradle of dualism between light and darkness, Eshma is no demon of lust, but the embodiment of pure, unbridled rage and wrath. He is the spirit who incites strife, destroys peace, and encourages violence. Just imagine, a being originally driven by blind, destructive fury would, over time, transform into a manipulator of mankind's most intimate desires. The first tangible appearance of Asmodeus in a form we recognize emerges in the Old Testament as apocryphal book of Tobit. Here, he appears as a malevolent spirit who literally haunts the unfortunate Sarah, daughter of Raguel. His motive, not lust, but pure jealousy and malice. Asmodeus, obsessed with her, murders 7 of her bridegrooms, one after another, on their wedding night before the marriage can be consummated. He doesn't seduce them. He doesn't tempt them to sin. He simply destroys them. This isn't a subtle game of temptation. It's brutal, repetitive violence. And it is only through the intervention of the archangel Raphael and the cunning of young Tobias, who used the smoke from a burning fish's heart and liver, that Asmodeus was exorcised, fleeing to the farthest parts of Egypt where he was bound forever. But this is just one facet of the story. In the traditions of the Jewish Talmud, Asmodeus, or Ashmedai, as he is known, there is revealed in a completely different light. He is no longer just a malicious spirit, but a mighty king of demons, possessing incredible power and, most surprisingly, intellect. Legends say that it was Ashmedai who was subjugated by the wisest of kings, Solomon, and forced to aid in the construction of the first temple of Jerusalem. How? Ashmedai revealed the location of the Shemirah, miraculous worm capable of cutting stone without the use of ordinary tools, a necessity to avoid defiling the temple with iron. In the Talmud, Ashmedai is not merely a tool. He demonstrates profound knowledge, engages in intellectual debates, and sometimes even reveals the secrets of the universe. He is cunning, yes, but he also possesses a unique wisdom and power that place him on par with the greatest of kings. He is the son of Nama, or, in other versions, a descendant of Adam and a succubus, which underscores his ancient and privileged position in the infernal hierarchy. And so, at last, we arrive at the familiar image, that of medieval Christian demonology. It was during this period that Asmodeus became firmly and, it would seem, irrevocably associated with the sin of lust. But why would a demon of wrath and jealousy, who later became a powerful and intellectual king, transform into the embodiment of this specific mortal sin? Part of this can be traced to his role in the Book of Tobit, where he obstructs marriage, but his actions, while not driven by lust per se, made him a symbol of anti-matrimony. Nevertheless, it was this transformation that cemented itself in the collective consciousness. In the grimoires and demonological treatises of the time, Asmodeus is described as a grotesque yet majestic figure, with 3 heads: a bull, a man, and a ram with webbed feet, a serpent's tail, and wings, riding a dragon or a lion, and breathing fire. He is presented as the 32nd spirit, a great king, capable not only of inciting lust, but also of teaching arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and all handicrafts. He is even credited with the ability to instill a passion for gambling, which points to his dominion over a wide spectrum of destructive, compulsive desires that extend far beyond the carnal sphere. In some later traditions, he is even linked to Lilith, suggesting a joint influence over sexuality and temptation, making his figure even more complex. So who is he, Asmodeus? The furious spirit of ancient Iran, the jealous demon who murders bridegrooms, the wise king of demons who aids Solomon, or the multi-headed embodiment of lust and gambling. His story is a history of a mutating myth, where every new touch of human fear and desire has left its indelible mark upon him. And this is only the beginning of the mystery. The first threads of this mystery lead us far to the east, into the heart of ancient Persia, long before Asmodeus became associated with the sins of the flesh. His very name is a key to understanding his true, primal nature. Ashmedai, that is what he is called in the Avestan texts of Zoroastrian mythology. Demon of wrath or fury is the literal meaning of this fearsome name, placing him in the pantheon as one of the 7 archdemons, the eternal adversaries of the forces of light. He was the embodiment not so much of sexual desire, but of destructive rage, violence, and a ferocious anger that ravaged both soul and body. It is this ancient, furious spirit that we first encounter in the text that marked his debut in the Western tradition, the Old Testament deuterocanonical Book of Tobit. Here, Asmodeus appears not as a seducer, but as the embodiment of pure, murderous malice, his shadow looming over the home of an innocent girl named Sarah. Imagine Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, a beautiful young woman whose fate should have been bright and happy. But a curse hung over her. 7 times Sarah was married, and 7 times, on their wedding night, before the marriage could be consummated, her bridegrooms fell dead upon the marriage bed. 7 young lives cut short at the moment of greatest happiness and hope. And the one to blame was him, Asmodeus. His motives in this story are entirely devoid of lust. He did not tempt Sarah, nor did he seduce her. No, his driving force was a fierce jealousy, a malicious intent, perhaps even an envy of human happiness and love. He could not allow this sacred union to be completed, for that oneness to occur which would bring joy and offspring. His rage was directed at the very essence of marriage, at the continuation of the family line. He was like a dark sentinel at the gates of happiness, condemning Sarah to eternal loneliness and despair. Hope, it seemed, was lost, but ancient tales would not be tales if they did not leave room for a miracle. And a miracle appeared in the form of a young man named Tobias, who, prompted by his father's counsel and, as it turned out, by the archangel Raphael himself, agreed to take Sarah as his wife. Raphael, the wise guide, revealed to Tobias the secret to banishing this ancient demon. The scene described in the Book of Tobit is almost mystical in its simplicity and effectiveness. Following the archangel's instructions, Tobias took the heart and liver of a fish he had caught earlier and placed them on burning embers. The room filled with a thick, acrid smoke rising from the burning viscera, and there, under this smoky shroud, the ancient spirit, the demon of wrath, could not endure. Asmodeus, enveloped in the suffocating fumes, unable to bear it any longer, was cast out of the bedchamber with either a piercing shriek or a silent dissolution. The text leaves that to our imagination. He fled, abandoning Sarah's tormented home, but his escape was short-lived. The archangel Raphael, true to his mission, did not let Asmodeus disappear. He pursued him across lands and deserts, catching the fugitive in the farthest parts of Egypt. There, far from human eyes and cities, Raphael seized Asmodeus and bound him fast. This act of capture emphasizes not only the Archangel's power, but also Asmodeus' initial role in this story. He was an evil spirit who could be exorcised and bound, not a mighty tempter whose influence penetrated the most secret corners of the soul. Thus, in his first clear appearance in Western mythology, Asmodeus is not the demon of lust he would become in later legends. He is Ashmedai, the demon of anger and wrath, a jealous guardian, a destroyer of marriages whose malice was aimed at the very institution of the union between man and woman. His story in the book of Tobit is that of a malevolent spirit who can be defeated and bound through faith and divine intervention. This is but one facet of his multifaceted image, but it is critically important for understanding how this ancient demon evolved, transforming and acquiring new, sometimes utterly contradictory, meanings. And indeed, while the Book of Tobit presents Asmodeus as a jealous yet relatively straightforward evil spirit, in the world of the Jewish Talmud his image expands to unimaginable proportions, transforming him into Ashmedai, a powerful, cunning, and paradoxically wise king of demons. Here, his story takes on entirely new, far deeper shades. The Talmud presents Ashmedai not merely as a demon of lust, though his connection to temptation remains. His origin is shrouded in mystery. Some traditions call him the son of Nama, the biblical progenitress of all demons, while others claim he was born from the union of Adam himself with a succubus. Both versions point directly to his deep roots in the sphere of temptation and primordial desires, yet they also elevate his status, making him part of the fundamental mythology of creation and the fall. This is no longer just a demon who slays husbands on their wedding night. This is an entity whose very existence is intertwined with the nature of human sin itself. But Ashmedai's finest hour in the Talmud comes during his legendary confrontation with the wisest of King Solomon. How could one build the magnificent first temple without using iron tools so as not to defile the sanctuary with an instrument of war? It was a task worthy of the greatest mind, and the solution was found where no one expected, in the person of the king of demons himself. Solomon, using his incredible wisdom and a divine seal, was able to subdue Ashmedai. This was not a simple exorcism, as with Tobias. This was the complete subjugation of the will of a powerful, thousand-year-old entity. Legend says that Solomon demanded Ashmedai reveal the secret to building the temple, and the demon, bound by chains and the seal, reluctantly told of the chimera, miraculous worm capable of cutting stone with a single touch. This wasn't just knowledge, it was the key to creating a miracle, and only the king of demons could possess it. Here, Ashmedai appears not as a dull servant of evil, but as a keeper of secret knowledge, an entity deeply initiated into the hidden laws of the universe. He engaged in intellectual debates with Solomon, posed riddles to the wisest king, and answered questions himself, demonstrating vast knowledge not only of magic, but also of human nature and the workings of the world. However, we must not forget that this is still a demon. Even when subdued, Ashmedai never loses his cunning and malice. The Talmud is filled with stories where, at the slightest opportunity, he tries to deceive, harm, or even usurp Solomon's throne. There is even a legend that Ashmedai, having temporarily acquired Solomon's magic ring, cast the king to the ends of the earth and ruled Jerusalem himself until Solomon reclaimed his power. This highlights his dual nature. He is a source of priceless secrets, yet he always remains a dangerous, unpredictable ally. He possesses a superhuman intellect, a capacity for deep analysis and insight, but his actions are still dictated by malevolent intent and a desire for destruction. Thus, in the Talmudic traditions, Asmodeus, or Ashmedai, makes a colossal leap in his development. From a simple evil spirit, he transforms into a complex, multifaceted character, a mighty king, wise but treacherous, dangerous but necessary. He is no longer just a demon of lust, but the embodiment of an ancient, primal force capable of both creation through the Shamir and destruction, whose presence is felt at the deepest levels of the universe and the human soul. He becomes not just the personification of sin, but a test for human wisdom and faith. But this ancient, multifaceted entity could not remain so. Amorphous within the framework of strict theology. In medieval Christian demonology, Asmodeus underwent a decisive transformation, becoming one of the most recognizable and terrifying embodiments of sin. It was during this period that he became firmly, almost inextricably, associated with lust, despite the fact that in the Book of Tobit, his actions were driven more by jealousy and malice than by purely carnal desire. How did this transformation occur? The answer lies in the attempt by Christian theologians and demonologists to systematize the infernal world, to assign each prince of darkness to one of the 7 deadly sins. The actions of Asmodeus at the wedding bed murdering innocent bridegrooms before the marriage could be consummated, though an act of wrath, fit perfectly into the narrative of carnal sin. By preventing the act of union itself, he became a symbol of perverted or misplaced desire, sometimes even symbolizing impotence or infertility caused by evil forces. His function as the destroyer of marriages logically led to his identification as the demon whose influence undermines the institution of family through temptations of the flesh. It was then that his image became truly frightening and detailed, a far cry from the relatively abstract evil spirit of the Book of Tobit. Grimoires, as if illustrating the darkest of nightmares, describe Asmodeus with multiple heads, most often a bullish symbol of unbridled carnal passion, and cruelty, a man for deception, intellectual seduction, and manipulation, and a ram perhaps representing aggression, stubbornness, or an impure sacrifice. His body is sometimes crowned with wings and ends in a serpent's tail, emphasizing the cunning, treachery, and venomous nature of his temptations. He is often depicted riding a dragon or a lion, breathing fire details that not only enhance his terrifying appearance, but also symbolize his power over destructive forces and his ability to consume souls in the flames of passion. But Asmodeus was not merely a crude tempter of the flesh. He embodied cunning and knowledge, but in a twisted form, using them to enslave the human mind and will. According to texts like the Lesser Key of Solomon or the Godia, this fallen king was credited with astonishing abilities. He could grant knowledge in the most precise sciences: arithmetic, geometry, astronomy. He taught all handicrafts, revealing the secrets of the material world, but always with one goal: to lead a person to their fall, to lure them into the trap of pride or the lust for worldly goods. And here we see the expansion of his influence beyond mere lust. The same occult traditions warn that Asmodeus can incite a destructive addiction to gambling in a person. This is not simply a sin for carnal pleasure. It is an addiction that destroys will, reason, and life, turning the desire for gain into a ruinous passion. This ability to destroy through temptation and addiction makes Asmodeus a far more complex and dangerous adversary than just a demon of fleshly desires. He embodies any destructive desire, any obsession that turns a person away from the spiritual path and chains them to illusory pleasures or false goals. His whisper is the promise of an easy victory, of secret knowledge, of untold riches, but it always leads to desolation and slavery to one's own passion. It is this all-encompassing, almost cosmic power over destructive desires and human obsessions that has elevated Asmodeus to a truly royal throne in the hierarchy of hell, making him not just a demon of lust, but the lord of entire legions of fallen souls. He is not just a demon who tempts the flesh. He is one of the pillars upholding the very structure of hell, a mighty prince whose name inspires dread even among his most powerful brethren. In countless demonological treatises and Grimm was that shaped the image of the infernal world. Asmodeus invariably figures among the chief kings or princes, possessing not only strength but also the deepest cunning. Take, for instance, the famous Dictionnaire Infernal by Colin de Plancy, where Asmodeus not only commands legions, but also, notably, oversees the gambling houses of hell. This is no random detail. It vividly demonstrates the extent of his influence, from carnal temptations to the most destructive of addictions, gambling, which devours not only fortunes, but the souls themselves with the same insatiable greed as lust. He is the king of temptation in its most sophisticated forms. It is this multifaceted nature that makes Asmodeus so unique and dangerous. We are accustomed to associating him exclusively with the sin of lust, but his true nature is far more complex, profound, and perhaps even more intellectual. In Talmudic traditions, where he is known as Ashmedai, he appears not merely as a tempter, but as a powerful and extraordinarily intelligent king of demons, capable of engaging in complex philosophical debates, unraveling the mysteries of the universe, and even assisting the legendary King Solomon in the construction of the first temple. It was Ashmedai who revealed the secret of the miraculous Shamir worm, capable of cutting stone without iron, demonstrating astonishing knowledge. This ability to grant knowledge, not just carnal temptations, is echoed in later grimoires like the Lesser Key of Solomon or the Godia, where Asmodeus is described as the 32nd spirit, a great king who can teach arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and all manner of handicrafts. His wisdom is a dangerous, often deadly gift, leading to enlightenment but too often at the cost of one's own soul, doomed to eternal slavery to vice. He doesn't just promise pleasure, he offers power through knowledge, which in turn becomes destruction. And it is no wonder that such a powerful and multifaceted demon possesses an equally terrifying form. Picture his gruesome appearance as described in ancient demonological texts. 3 heads, a ferocious bull, a wise man, and a bloodthirsty ram, the feet of a goose, a serpent's tail, vast, powerful wings, and often riding a fierce, fire-breathing dragon. This grotesque yet majestic appearance only underscores his status and power, symbolizing his control over the most diverse aspects of destruction, desire, and evil. Thus, the journey of Asmodeus is not just the chronicle of a single demon, but the evolution of a powerful archetype that reflects the darker sides of human nature. From the ancient Zoroastrian spirit of rage and wrath, Ashmedai, whose name literally means demon of wrath, to the demon in the Old Testament's book of Tobit driven by jealousy to murder Sarah's bridegrooms, and further to the intellectual king of the Talmud, a master of deception and temptation, and finally to the lord of lust and gambling in medieval grimoires. He has journeyed from a simple embodiment of aggression to a highly complex symbol of all human addictions, forbidden knowledge, and the darkest, yet most alluring aspects of human nature. His legend has not been lost to the ages. It has only gained strength. It continues to live on, permeating world literature from Gothic novels to modern fantasy sagas, inspiring occult practices, becoming a central figure in demonological cults, and holding a prominent place in modern pop culture from blockbusters and video games to television series, where his name is invariably associated with danger and seduction. Asmodeus is more than just a name. He is a powerful, archetypal symbol that continues to resonate with our most hidden fears and desires. He is an eternal reminder of how thin the line is between ordinary desire and destructive obsession, between innocent curiosity and the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, and between true freedom and slavery to one's own passions. His story is a dark mirror reflecting our own vulnerabilities, our most secret temptations, and the insatiable, often irrational, thirst for that which can bring both the greatest pleasure and complete devastation. And as long as human desires exist, as long as the possibility of falling remains, the demon Asmodeus will continue his insidious whisper, remaining the eternal lord over those willing to trade their souls for a fleeting but fatal satisfaction. The story of Asmodeus is not merely a myth about a fallen being, but a silent testament to the endless mutation of evil, reflecting the most hidden corners of the human soul. From wrath to lust, from ancient curses to the temptation of forbidden knowledge, his evolution mirrors our own struggle with the invisible chains of desire. In a world where desires multiply daily and the boundaries between them blur, is the true Asmodeus not so much an external tempter, but an internal force that constantly tests our will and self-awareness? What do you think lies behind the mask of the Prince of Lust? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this deep dive into the depths of human passions and ancient myths has made you think, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos, and hit that like button to support us.